Welcome to round 3 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast for the week of April 18th. I'm Terry Morrow, and I'm here with Catherine Haleko.
Hello.
We're moms of teens and young adults, and when it comes to parenting, we've been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. But we're still waiting for that day when we'll reach the finish line and have no further need to lay down in a dark room with a wet rag over our eyes, worrying about something or other. Wednesday is Complaint Day here on Parenting Roundabout, and today we are complaining about friendships in this season of our lives. Catherine, you were inspired in this by a visit with a friend from an earlier season.
That's right. Yes, I got to spend like a long weekend with my closest sort of childhood teen friend. Basically junior high and high school bestie. And we've certainly talked about mom friendships and adult friendships before on the podcast, but just spending those couple of days together was just another reminder that it's hard to make new friends and they never quite feel the same, I guess, as those early, the person who knew you when you like had braces and had a crush on someone inappropriate or whatever it was. They just know you, and you can, there's a shorthand, I guess, to it that is very comfortable,
right?
That you don't necessarily get with people that you befriend later in life, I guess.
That's true. So. I've often thought that I really don't have anybody in my life now who knew me when I was a kid or a teenager or even a young adult. My best friend is from like my mid-20s, and she's stayed on as a good friend for these many decades. But, my parents are both passed on. My half sister, was in and out, but she never really knew me when I was young.
And she's significantly
older and just had her own life, which I knew nothing about. So it's not, and it's like, I have all these memories and I'm not even sure some of them are real or right, but I have nobody at all to check it with. I do keep in touch with some childhood friends on Facebook, but it's just been so long since we were friends. I don't know. They should not be remembering things about me. I probably don't remember things or remember things wrong. I was telling a story the other day and thinking, if my friend heard this, would she think, what on earth are you talking about? Nothing like that ever happened.
Right. And if you just like the after party.
Yeah, exactly.
Your version and their version.
In the absence of people who knew me when, I've just made up all these things in my head. So usually while laying in bed, agonizing over stupid things I've done. But so that is and people now, it's so, except for this one friend I've kept for 4 decades, I guess now, maybe a little less, but everything else is so situational. It's because you happen to live in the same area, or you happen to work in the same place, or your kids are friends, or your kids go to the same place for therapy, or I've had many friendships like that in the past 20 years or so, but they come and go. No ill will. And, you keep in touch on Facebook, but it's never the same as like when you really have somebody that you share your secrets with and that you talk about. I guess your spouse becomes that person if you're lucky. And then I tell myself I don't need that from anybody else, but it's a weird time of life. I wonder if when people who are senior citizens go live in senior citizen homes and stuff, and you got all the old ladies whose husbands have passed and they play bridge and whatever, if they form those sorts of friendships.
Right.
Because you're there every day with the same people. But in adulthood, you generally don't have that opportunity.
Right.
Outside your immediate family.
Right.
So... And, my husband does fulfill that function for me somewhat, of somebody that I can tell everything to and talk to about stuff, but I don't always get the feedback I'm looking for.
Right. Right. And I think sometimes siblings can be that.
Right.
They have known you.
Do you have that kind of relationship?
I mean, I would say
I do miss having contemporary siblings.
Right. I mean, I would say we're close. The sad part is that we don't live near each other. Yeah. So we don't get the, in-person interaction. So that's too bad. I miss that.
Yeah.
And the same with, this friend I'm talking about and a few others, we don't live in the same place. So
right.
It's hard to keep it going,
Yeah.
Not that we're at risk of not being friends anymore, but it's right. It's a different relationship when you're not in person.
Yeah. So. But so fun when you do get together to remember those times.
Yeah.
Yeah. I moved across the country. So a lot of the people that I was friends with as a child are in California, and I'm never going to go back there since my parents aren't there anymore. So, I like seeing them on Facebook every now and then. We chat.
Right.
Yeah. How do people, our age-ish find new friends? Do they find friends for themselves and not?
Yeah. Like you said, it's
proximity associates.
Right. Like you said, it's so situational. If you whether it's with your kids' activities or lives, or maybe it's, neighbors, if you're really lucky.
Neighbors would be a thing. I'm trying to think of like where my mom found friends, because she had a lot of good friends. I think I mentioned last week, one of them I lost for her by breaking up with her daughter, but she always had close friends who cared for her, I felt like. But they were from church, and they were from, and she did things with the people from church, like played bridge or, did all sorts of social things. She would have people over for tea or people over for dessert or something. And, or maybe it was all bridge. I don't know. They also square danced for a while. So she had friends from that. And I just don't do that stuff. I've tried to go to church, like be in the Rosary Society church, but it's like every month you say, oh, hi, how you doing? Right. But nobody's getting together for bridge, I guess. And also I feel like Catholic churches aren't the same as Protestant churches. Seem to me to be much more social in my limited experience. Right. I don't feel that same level of social ability in Catholic churches. Maybe I'm just one of the wrong ones. But it's like, you're coming here for a purpose, achieve that purpose. And I'm happy for that.
Yeah. My parents, you might remember, moved a couple of years ago, and it must have been like the summer of 2019. So it was pre-pandemic, but not by a whole lot. And, ever since, they've been working on making new friends. And again, the pandemic was a big old problem there for sure. But, they've joined a country club, not to play golf, but just for social stuff. Yeah. And that's been pretty good. They play bocce with people from the country club, and my mom started a book club with some people through the country club. Like she basically, she made one good friend, which I think she met through the country club. I can't remember. And then the two of them were like, okay, well, let's start a book club. And so they went to the whomever at the country club and said, can we, sort of put this out there to the members that we want to start a book club. And so now they have a book club. So, takes effort.
Yeah, sure. It does.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe that's the problem. I just don't feel like putting in the effort.
Well, and maybe you don't have the time.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's true. It's like, would I have the time if I wanted to enough?
Yeah.
No, working too much. Sorry, too much work. Sorry, too much work. Blessed with work is what I say when things like this come up. And my husband is not a real sociable guy. If he was the sort who was wanting to go out and do things with people, I would go with him. But he's not. He is the opposite of that. So, I've become content just sitting around the house. It's real pleasant. But every now and then you think it's like, I have one good close friend, and I would not trade her in for anything or let her go. If you're listening to this, Carolyn, you're stuck with me. But it would be cool to have somebody who meets me now and thinks I'm a good person to be a friend with. Right. Not based on things that happened long ago, not based on a long shared history of friendship, but just, hey, she looks fun. I want to be her friend.
Right.
Doesn't seem to be happening in the few times I put myself out there. Maybe I'm just like, I tell my daughter, you have to leave the house for people to want to be friends with you.
Or you can start a podcast together.
Yeah, there you go.
I would say that
that's right. Yes. Yes. You guys are definitely my friends. And even though we only ever communicate over a microphone or over Facebook, that's right. You are two cherished friends that I have gained. But if you decided you didn't like me tomorrow, I would never be able to hunt you down. So I at least know where Carolyn lives.
I live. But it'd be a long trip.
It would be so easy to ghost me is what I worry about.
Oh, wow.
But anyway, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, do not worry about the ghosting, because even though that's it for today's round 3, we will be back tomorrow to obsess about TV reboots. And then on Friday to see what we've come up with for our Roundabout Roundup picks this week. So find all of our episodes at parentingroundabout.com and talk back in the comments there on our Facebook page or on Twitter, where you'll find us at Roundabout.